In the old, almost forgotten Jampod Civil Hospital, there's a morgue, hidden away from sight. It has 4 windows. 3 are ordinary, but the 4th? Well, the 4th holds a secret so dark it's been costing people their lives. Let's get into this chilling story. Okay, so picture this. You're Dr. Prachi, a new forensic specialist, and it's your very first day. You're already a bit on edge. You've only ever seen dead bodies in textbooks. And then the old morgue assistant Raghu walks up and gives you that one single ominous warning. You realize pretty quickly, this isn't just some hospital rule. This is something else entirely. All right, first up, a mysterious morgue. We need to set the scene and introduce you to the people who walk these haunted halls. The Janpad Civil Hospital is practically a character in its own right. We're talking about a seriously old building, pre-independence, with walls that have seen way too much. And the morgue? It's tucked away in the back, this isolated room that everyone, and I mean everyone, avoids unless they absolutely have to be there. It's just got that heavy feeling, you know? Like the walls have stories to tell. So our story really centers around these 5 people. You've got Dr. Prachi, our confident but green forensic specialist. Then there's Raghu, the morgue assistant who has seen it all in his 30 years. We have Ajay, the kind of careless but somehow popular ward boy. Above them all is Dean Ghosh, the strict hospital director who, believe it or not, secretly suspects there are things science can't explain. And finally, Nurse Kavita. She's seen some strange things, but keeps it very, very quiet. Section 2, the window's past secret. So that warning Raghu gave, it wasn't just some old superstition. No, it was born from a really tragic history that started long before Dr. Prachi ever set foot in that hospital. This timeline really puts everything into perspective. The horror really began 8 years ago with a young girl named Nidhi. Then, fast forward a bit, just 2 years ago, another doctor had a deadly run-in with that same window. And now Dr. Prachi is walking right into this legacy, and she has absolutely no idea what she's in for. Just take the story of Dr. Joshi, Prachi's predecessor. He was a man of science, a total skeptic. He heard the warnings and just laughed them off. One night, he opened that 4th window to have a smoke. A few moments later, Nurse Kavita found him just standing there, completely paralyzed with fear. He immediately put in for a transfer, but it was too late. 2 weeks later, they found his body right under that window. Dead. The cause? Sheer, absolute fright. Dr. Joshi's story was the ultimate cautionary tale, but it was a tale Prachi had never heard. And her own horrifying encounter? Well, it was about to begin with a simple, unintentional mistake on the most dangerous night of the month. So one day, the morgue was getting crowded. Without giving it a second thought, Prachi asks for a table to be moved, a table holding a fresh corpse. And where does it get moved to? Right in front of the cursed 4th window. She had no clue that this simple act was about to kick off the horror of the new moon night, or Amavasya. It all starts just like a scene from a horror movie, doesn't it? Prachi's alone in the morgue, it's around 2 a.m., and the lights begin to flicker like crazy. Raghu, the old assistant, just calmly tells her, "It's the new moon, madam, and you've placed a table before the 4th window." And that's when, for the first time, Prachi feels a real, bone-deep chill. And then, a sound. It starts faint, a sick, scraping noise against the iron bars of the window. It's rhythmic, slow, like fingernails dragging on metal. Her heart is just pounding. She calls out into the darkness, "Who is there?" But deep down, I think she already knew the answer wasn't human. This was it. The moment her entire logical, scientific worldview just completely shattered. Right there, in front of her, the solid iron bars of the window started to bend outwards, twisted by some massive, invisible force. There was no scientific explanation. There was only pure, unbelievable terror. After an experience like that, you'd be demanding answers, right? Prachi goes straight to Dean Ghosh, who finally breaks his silence and tells her the whole tragic story behind that window. A story that starts and ends with a young girl named Nidhi. So who is the spirit that's been haunting this morgue? Her name was Nidhi. 8 years ago, she was the victim of a truly brutal murder. When her body was brought here, her face was so badly disfigured that even her own family couldn't recognize her. She was a Jane Doe, lost and completely alone, even in death. And here's the crucial part.
because she was unidentified, she was never claimed, which means Nidhi never received her final rites, the ceremonies that are so important for a soul's journey. Instead, her body was just left on a table in the morgue, right underneath the fourth window. So now, Nidhi's restless, pained spirit was tied to that window, and anyone who dared disturb it paid a terrible price. We already know what happened to Dr. Joshi. Well, soon after that, Ajay, the ward boy, made the exact same mistake. He just decided to clean the dusty old window one day, and just like Joshi, he was found dead on the floor, his face a perfect mask of terror. A deadly pattern was now crystal clear. Now that she understands what's really going on, Dr. Prachi, our woman of science, decides she has to do something, well, spiritual. She can't just be an observer anymore. She has to step in and find a way to bring justice to this tormented soul. So she puts a plan into action. First, she gets Dean Ghosh to call in an experienced exorcist. On the very next new moon, they hold a ritual to try and communicate. Next, Prachi does what she does best. She hits the books, using science and old DNA records to finally track down Nidhi's family. And the final step? Give Nidhi the one thing she was denied all those years ago, a proper farewell. During the ritual, Nidhi's spirit actually manifests, and her words, they revealed the true depth of her pain. This was never about vengeance. It was about being incomplete. She pleads, "Give me justice. No one lit my funeral pyre. I was left incomplete." Her soul wasn't trapped by hate. It was trapped by sorrow. A week later, Nidhi's family finally performs her last rites by the river Ganga. And back at the hospital, at that exact moment, the fourth window slams shut on its own. The scraping sound is gone. The cold spots disappear. And for the first time in 8 long years, the morgue is filled not with fear, but with a quiet, profound peace. The story of the cursed window, it's really more than just a ghost story, isn't it? It leaves us all with a much deeper question. Was Nidhi's spirit really seeking revenge, or was it just a desperate cry for the justice she was denied in life? It really makes you wonder. Maybe the greatest horror isn't the ghost in the window, but the unresolved injustice that left a soul wandering in the first place.